or something related to paper four. So in paper four, you have the design question that you guys been doing up till now, right? Um, Maths chapter में दो design question है, in which one you have to find out the differences between groups, right? जो positive feeling वाली थी. Like what's the difference of intense positive feeling in the people who have a disorder and who don't have a disorder? And then you have some other uh, type of case study यहाँ पे you have to kind of find out or investigate or diagnose, or basically it's like a case study, right? You just go there, you don't know what you're gonna find, ठीक है? So you don't compare it with anything. Just go and find out कि क्या information निकलती है, right? So there's two type of studies. The third type, ठीक है ना, is the correlational type. Correlation by AS खत्म हो चुका है. It's never gonna come in your A2. So far अभी तक तो नहीं देखा. So we're gonna talk about the comparison, ठीक है ना, type of studies, and you have investigated. Okay, I'm not gonna write investigate. I'm not gonna write the क्या कहते हैं discovery study, right? Discovery. So comparison study, ठीक है ना, and discovery study. Basically, you guys have to know, right? Sometimes when you submit me your questions, there are vital points that you have missed out. Those vital points are IV and DV. You know, you don't, right? And also, don't mix them up as well. Why? Because they cost a lot of marks, right? They cost a lot of marks, and if you mix them up, your entire experiment that you design around them will also be majorly long. So you don't do that, right? So don't get your IVDVs mixed up, right? अगर तुम लोग अभी भी IVDV से मसला है, right? Do we have an IV in a case study? That's a good question. Tigana, I'm gonna come to that. That's a good question. So I'm gonna come to that, Tigana, and this is exactly why we're having this discussion. दूसरी चीज ये कि again, if any of you guys don't have a grasp on how to find out what's the IV and DV, अभी मुझसे पूछ लेना. दूसरा है कि operationalization, right? Operationalization is when you like specifically you specify the IV and DB with the context of your study, right? So इसके like again major experience with the students is कि ये सही से लोग को grasp नहीं है इसके अंदर, but it's not major. Even if you miss this out, right? There's no problem in that if you write this down. और अच्छा हो जाएगा, but don't get this wrong, all right? दूसरी चीज ये sampling technique. Sampling technique, and right, there are three variants of sampling technique, right? You have the opportunity, you have the volunteer study, and you have the random sampling, right? What students go for is this one, right? But I would advise you to not stick with random sampling because I don't think तुम्हारे केस स्टडी जो एएस की केस स्टडी था, इसमें बहुत ही मुश्किल एक स्टडी होगी जिसके अंदर रैंडम सैम्पलिंग क्या होगा. I doubt there is any. ठीक है. The reason is कि it is very ideal but difficult to pull off. Execute करना मुश्किल होता है क्योंकि see, voluntary sampling is you advertise to people, right? Advertise to people and they come to you, right? Opportunity sampling के अंदर is different. You go to them, right? Random sampling के अंदर yes, they are going to come to you, right? But before they come to you, they have to be selected, right? And they have to randomly select it. How do you do the selection procedure? If you don't define it, right, and you just write random sampling, they're not going to mark you. Same like voluntary sampling. You don't tell us how you do random voluntary sampling. You just said it is voluntary sampling. They're not going to give you marks. So you have to tell how you did your sampling technique within the design as well. So random sampling, you need a complete list of participants, right? And it's very difficult to obtain. Sometimes, for example, you need to find out whether people with kleptomania. Yeah, for example, you had the study like you need to find out what is the common most phobia in people. Go out there, discover what's the most occurring phobia in people, right? So until and unless you don't specify where you're taking your sample from, for example, if you just go out there and pick people randomly and ensures random sampling out in the open, is not going to be possible. Okay, if you go to a general public place and वहाँ पे random sampling करना शुरू हो जाओगे, you need to have a list of people who are in that public place, right? And if people who are not in that public place, उनको तो फिर मौका नहीं मिला होगा ना random sampling होने का. So basically, people who are in that public place, they automatically got to be selected as the sample. People who were not present at the public place, they couldn't get selected. उनको chance zero हो गया. So basically, it's not then random sampling, it's opportunity sampling. So I would suggest to avoid random sampling altogether, right? Because it's a very tricky to pull off. It's very tricky to obtain it, design it, ठीक है ना? क्योंकि तुम्हें सबसे बेस्ट स्पेस जो है स्पेसिफाई करना होता है. फिर स्पेस स्पेसिफाई करने के बाद you need to obtain list of participants. But then there's the question of if you limit the space, right? Okay, I don't know what happened. What was the last thing you guys heard me say? Like, what was the last thing that you were able to pick up before my net got disconnected? Random sampling. Random sampling, the difficulty, right? So let's suppose you go for random sampling. You need to limit the space. Also, बताना पड़ेगा तुम कर कहाँ रहे हो, right? अब होता क्या है कि if you limit where you're doing the study, right? Let's suppose I'm doing this in an XYZ auditorium. The question will be, why are you doing this in an auditorium? What about the people who are outside the auditorium? They have zero chance now. Okay, now your entire focus is on the auditorium. So basically, you automatically gave 0% of to the people who are outside the auditorium to get selected. So now you're gonna say, ठीक है, मैं auditorium भी नहीं करूँगी, I'm gonna just go open. फिर question आएगा, ठीक है. You need a list of people who are out there in the open, every one of them. ठीक है. You say I'll go to the government database and वहाँ पे लोगों की शनाख्ती कार्ड का data information निकालूंगी and वहाँ से randomly select करूँगी. Yeah, ठीक है. So फिर शायद random sampling होगा, right? But उसके अलावा it's very difficult to pull off. Phone book के अंदर से मैं randomly address निकालूंगी. You can do that, right? But limiting a space is a very bad idea in random sampling. Once you limit the space, na, वो random sampling होता है. That classifies as an opportunity sampling. So, yeah, avoid this altogether. I would say lazmi nahi karna. They will never ever force you to do random sampling. My हाथ में होता है. These three things are in your hands. So if it is, don't do random sampling. Go for something else because voluntary sampling, easy to tell people how you did it. Opportunity sampling, easy to tell people how you did it. Random sampling, not so much. Bharat. So uske alawa, right? The common points taken are your generic points, right? That the examination requires in the design question, right? Whatever type it is, the generic point is 10 mark milote. So you have 10 marks to play with. I don't know if you guys have seen it, लेकिन वो होता है अपना जो sample answer का जो होता है, like the first time they released 9990, they came up with the sample question answer of the candidate, उसको examiner report जिसको हम कहते हैं. उसके अंदर they say when they were marking people, they just want 5 points, right? They just want 5 features. I'd say don't go for 5 features. Okay, if you're lazy to write 5 features, right? Come on, you can write 5 more. You can write all the complete 10 features. So write 10 features. IV and DV, right? Operationalization, right? Sampling technique, right? Find that out. Setting, where your labs going to be conducted. Design, important. Methodology, as in interview, yeah, observation, yeah, what is that? Questionnaire. Specify the type of interview, specify the type of observation, specify the type of questionnaire as well. For example, observation likhoge na, so you have to specify all 4 domains. Covert, overt, choose one between that. Participant, non-participant, choose one between that. Structured, unstructured, choose one between that. And controlled and natural, choose one between that. So your तुम्हारा जो पूरा observation का नाम बनेगा, that's going to be, for example, non-participant, controlled, unstructured, covert observation. Like पूरा ये चारों के चारों criteria define करके बताना पड़ता है. You have the methodology, you have the type of data you're going to get. Data analysis is only going to be done for quantitative. You're safe for qualitative, and ethics and control, right? How many points there are? Let's find out. 10, 11, ठीक है ना? IVDB को उसको operationalize में मिला देते हैं. ठीक है, operational जो भी है. So these 10 points. Learn them by heart, whatever. And if you like design experiment in this flow, I'm gonna guess that like you're gonna have an easier time, right? Some people, what they do is they write the things here and there, right? For example, they write controls pehle, then sampling technique baad mein. I don't know, it's up to you, but make sure you address all these points. Now we come on to the specificness. जो ज़ाहरा का question भी था. Comparison pehle. Comparison studies. All right, let's find a comparison study to play around with. Let's go with March 19, paper 42. For example, I know this is not your domain. This isn't your domain, right? For example, take a look at this question. Design a study to find out which decision-making strategies people apply when buying a new cell phone. ठीक है ना? Is it this one? Is it this one? ठीक है ना? Is it this one? All right. So अब होता क्या है? Now this may look like a comparison question, but in the end, it's not. It's really not a comparison question. It's a discovery question. You're going to discover इन तीनों में से लोग कौन से इस्तेमाल करते हैं, right? क्योंकि look at the question, design which decision making strategies people apply. So we don't know. We want to find that out. अगर शुरू से लिखा होता, for example, there's three category of people. We have people who do this one, then we have people who do this one, then we do have people who do this one, and then we need to find the difference in their I don't know, behavior per comparison of that. But right now, you don't know which decision-making strategy people apply. You want to find that out. That's a discovery. Let's look at another discovery question. Agar rasta mil jaye. Yeah. Design a questionnaire, design a study using a questionnaire to investigate a characteristic hoarding behavior. So you have a person who has hoarding disorder, right? OCD ke andar. You want to find that out, common behaviors uska kya hota hai, and you want to find that out through a questionnaire. You're not going to compare with any other person. You just want to find that person's common behaviors, right? Discovery again. Design a field experiment to investigate the effectiveness of a reward system to reduce number of accidents in school science lessons. All right. This might look like it's a discovery question, but it's not. क्योंकि इसके अंदर you want to find the effectiveness, right? For example, abnormal psychology को भी, let's suppose, design an experiment, right, to investigate the effectiveness of let's suppose क्या कहते हैं, Miller की जो therapy थी, impulse control disorder therapy, the effectiveness of impulse control disorder therapy to reduce the क्या कहते हैं, symptoms of impulse control disorder in people who have that disorder. ठीक है ना? So you want to find the effectiveness of therapy. Now, when you need to find effectiveness, right, you need to have a baseline before the therapy. Then you give them the therapy, right? Therapy process. Then you need to find the baseline after the therapy. So basically what you're doing, it is going to be a comparison, but the fact is the comparison is going to be between before and after. So comparison, but it's between before and after, right? Like between this one and this one. So it is going to be a comparison, and the comparison is going to be a क्या कहते हैं, repeated major design wala. When you want to compare the before and after of the same person, right? Before and after of the same person. That's why it's repeated major design. Let's find one more. Let's find another question. People who have been bitten by animals, right, may interpret this experience in different manners. जिसकी वजह से phobia develop हो जाता है. All right. Design a study using a questionnaire to find out why people interpret experiences of being bitten differently. So this is not a comparison. Okay, you just want to find out, or you just want to discover why certain people, क्या कहते हैं, why certain people like experience their biting experience differently. Why do people interpret differently, right? All right. So right now it's not a comparison question, but you can make it into one. What do I mean? If this can go two ways. If you just do a study, right? You have a bunch of people, right? Whatever people you want to select sample, jo bhi hai. You just give them the standard questionnaire. You write the questions. You are gonna select the people who are bitten, right? वरना क्या फायदा है उन लोग को लेने का जिनको किसी ने काटा नहीं है. So that's the criteria. Yeah, you need to make sure that the people you select meets the criteria of the experiment, right? So if you don't write people who that I will select people who are bitten, no use. So okay, we have people who are bitten, right? You just give them a questionnaire. You write some questions to find out their thinking process. Okay, like what do you think about your experience that you were bitten with? Do you think it's going to happen again? On a scale of 1 to 5, what was the severity of the incident that happened to you, right? On a scale of 1 to 5, how much do you think is going to have long-lasting effects? Right, you just get the data, that's it, nothing else. But you can do it in a comparison manner as well. Why don't you have people who have phobia, right, and who don't have phobia, right, but both have been bitten, two separate groups, give them a questionnaire, same questionnaire, find the differences and answer of people who have phobia, find the differences and the answer who don't have phobia, then there you go. It's a comparison study between phobia and non-phobic people. Sometimes you have this liberty, right, that question के अंदर लिखा तो नहीं वैसा करना, but you want to do comparison study, you can, right? But that's so totally contextual basis. But if you don't want to complicate it, right, if you look at the question, you feel that if we do this question as it is, just likha is going to be a discovery question, right? All right, so, but what we want to do is find a genuine comparison question. Is there a genuine comparison question now? This is also this is also a comparison question, right? Design study using interview of people suffering from phantom limb pain to compare the current pain and the previous pain. So it's like between before and after wala scene hai. What we want to do, we want to find an experiment जिसके अंदर between group design होता है. We want to compare results between groups, not within the same person. So let's find that out. It's the same question, 2018. All right, there we go. It's not going to be a domain, but you can see clearly, nazar aata hai. Design a study using quantitative data, right? So sometimes they specify okay, what type of data you're going to get. The quantitative data, obviously, now you know which type of questions you're going to use, close-ended, right? No use of open question here. To find out how different type of gift wrapping affect the expectation of quality of a gift. So now you need to compare something. Now you need to compare two type of gift wrapping styles, or maybe three, Joby. How many styles there? We need to compare. For example, there could be one gift wrapping style A, there could be different gift wrapping style B, and uske base pe you need to compare the people's expectation of a gift under kya hoga, acha hoga, bura hoga. So this is the genuine comparison study between gift wrapping style A, gift wrapping style B, and kyunki both gift wrapping styles are different, right? It's gonna be a between group, kya kehte hain? independent measures design. So this is a classic example of independent measures design. तो जिसके अंदर comparison होगा. तुम्हारा जो वो वाला था, the question that you got in homework, जो intense positive feeling वाला था, that's also gonna be a comparison study. So basically we have you had something like, you know, like this one, like people with disorder versus people without disorder. Okay, so these people are going to be in two different groups. So the comparison दोनों इनकी तरफ से हो रहा है. So comparison question, ठीक है ना, you know how it's going to be worded out, ठीक है. Comparison question के अंदर हमेशा IV DV होगा ही होगा, ठीक है. DV तो होता ही होता है. IV किस basis पे होगा? IV is the things you're going to compare it with. For example, if you look at this question, right? So your IV is going to be, IV level 1 is going to be, level 1 is like before therapy baseline, and IV level 2 is going to be after therapy baseline. So your point of comparison hota hai, that's going to be your IV. For example, if you look at this, this experiment, so IV level 1 is people with disorder, IV level 2 is people without disorder, right? So IV is always going to be the thing that you're going to compare between. That's going to be your IV level 1 and level 2. Your DB is the results that you're gonna compare between them. For example, this example is going to be the effectiveness of the treatment. The DV is going to be the difference in feeling. So whatever the result that you're going to get that is going to be different between the two groups, that's going to be your DV, right? The results that you are want to finding out. Results, exactly the results, जिस चीज के बारे में तुम result ढूंढ रहे हो, that's going to be your DV. So please understand that comparison study के ना IV DV लाजमी होगा, right? You need to operationalize them, obviously, क्योंकि IV DV exist करते हैं. Sampling, please, sample के अंदर जो requirement दी होती है, you need to meet them, right? Don't be a generic person who chooses generic people. Sometimes you need to select people with specific characteristics, right? वो questions के अंदर से mention होते हैं. For example, इसके अंदर you need to pick people with a disorder and pick people without a disorder. If you just pick people randomly without stating they have a disorder or not, तुम्हारा sampling का पूरा point फंस गया. So yeah, you need to make sure that sampling meets the criteria of the experiment. You have sample, sampling technique, right? You have the setting. हमेशा याद रखना, जहाँ पे IVDV होगा ना, वहाँ पे design is either gonna be a repeated measures, right, or an independent measure design. ठीक है ना? बहुत मुश्किल से होता है कि तुम match pair भी कर सको, but we're not gonna rule that possibility out. The match pair. ठीक है? Whenever it's a comparison study, you can guarantee that इन तीनों से कोई ना कोई तुम्हारा डिजाइन 100% होगा. Yeah, methodology का point होता है हमेशा. Methodology is going to be there. Controls that you kept same in various conditions. You're going to talk about that in your controls. Methodology ethics, right? The data you're going to get and the data analysis. So these points are going to be applicable to your comparison study when you want to find out the difference. The effectiveness. So comparison study तुम्हारे abnormal psychology के अंदर आएंगे, right? That's gonna be ज़्यादातर the effectiveness of treatment. You have to find out the side effect of a treatment, right? You want to find out whether the person got worse or not. ठीक है? The way you do this is compare his symptoms before the treatment and after treatment. ठीक है? Side effect. Compare different treatments. You're going to compare different treatments. You're going to compare people with and without disorders, right? In abnormal psychology. So ज़्यादातर comparisons is based पर, right? Effectiveness and side effect, right, is going to be your repeated measure design, different treatments comparison, yet people with different different people comparison karna as in with disorder, without disorder, that's going to be your independent base design, largely. So that's it. Now we come on to the discovery question. Yeah, before moving on, do you get the things that we discovered, talked about the comparison question? Is there any question regarding that? All right. Discovery question. Abnormal psychology के अंदर बहुत ज़्यादा है. Such as this, right? You need to investigate. अच्छा, don't get carried away with the word investigate. Investigate हर जगह लिखा होगा. Whether it's a comparison, whether it's a discovery. Investigate का लफ्ज़ के ऊपर मत जाना, right? So ये हर जगह लिखा होगा, regardless of what type of question it is. So, all right. So this is a standard comparison, standard discovery question, right? जो तुम्हारा क्या कहते हैं? ये भी standard discovery question. You want to diagnose a person, whether GAD है या नहीं है, right? You're not going to compare with anything else. You're not going to compare this person with some other person, right? You just one person, find out whether this person has a problem or not. तो कभी कभार क्या होता है कि sometimes या तो लोग को डायग्नोज करना पड़ेगा, सच एज दिस क्वेश्चन, यहाँ पे इंसान को डायग्नोज करना, अभी पता नहीं कि इसको मसला है या नहीं पता, यू वांट टू फाइंड दैट आउट. या तो कभी कभार पता होता है कि इसको मसला क्या है, एंड यू जस्ट वांट टू फाइंड आउट कि ठीक है इसके कॉमन कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स क्या होती है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल दिस पर्सन हूएवर वी आर गोना इन्वेस्टिगेट हैज होर्डिंग डिसऑर्डर. अब उसका हमें कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स जानना है. सो कभी कभार डायग्नोज हो चुका होता है, कभी कभार यू नीड टू डायग्नोज देम, राइट? इस तरह के सवाल आते हैं. समटाइम्स designers try to assess the effectiveness of virtual reality as a way to measure symptoms of schizophrenia. This is a complete blueprint from the Freeman study, right, that he did. Don't copy Freeman's study exactly. I've seen his replicate Freeman's study, right down to the number of sample, right down to patani, I don't know. So yeah, you can get inspiration from, but instead of using the London Underground subway station wala scene, koi aur scenario recreate kar lo, right? Instead of using his questionnaire, you can come up with some other questionnaire, right? So this can be a comparison question, as in you have VR, you can have the VR thing, and you can compare the VR with some other way to measure symptoms, as you can compare the results of the VR with the result of a questionnaire and find out कि भाई किसके अंदर सबसे ज़्यादा symptom पकड़े जाते हैं कि नहीं आते. So it can be a comparison study as well. Bharat, we were looking at the discovery. Yeah. Discovery वाला question के अंदर all right. Yeah, this is a discovery question. Side effects. Say it. Like you want to find out the side effects of ECT. Hota hai ki nahi hota. This is also this is a comparison question. ठीक है ना? Please don't get carried away. He is broken. It's like you want to know if की टांग जो है times के साथ साथ कम hurt करती है, less hurt करती है. How would you know that? Obviously, you're gonna compare his pain before and after. So this is a comparison question. So जहाँ पे हर चीज जो भी चीज का कंपैरिजन आ रही होगी, that's a comparison, right? जहाँ पे you need to find that out whether इस बंदे को मसला है कि नहीं है, और you want to find that out कि whether इस बंदे के साथ जो मसला है कॉमन कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स क्या हैं, वो डिस्कवरी. सो डिस्कवरी क्वेश्चन का IBD भी नहीं होगा, right? कि we're not comparing anything. So you're going to write this question, ठीक है ना? If you don't believe me, Milgram की study, right? देखो हमेशा जहाँ पे like there's only one group, right? But if there's only one group, yeah, there's only one person, doesn't matter. Like you don't, and if you're not looking at his past, right? You don't take the past into picture, or you don't take other groups in your other person into account, then इसका मतलब है कि you're not comparing them, just conducting a demonstration, right? Demonstration क्या होता है? You just want to see how it goes, right? Milgram study is a pure demonstration. He just invites people into the lab, right? No comparison, no groups were made, right? Learner teacher assign होता है, but the teachers are always the participant. ऐसा नहीं कि कोई participant learner बन गया. Everyone's the teacher. So again, there's no difference in the participant. कोई दूसरा ग्रुप बना ही था. Basically, you just want to find out कि भाई हर बंदा subject to the same condition कितने हद तक current लगाएगा, right? You did not have different conditions. You did not have that. You didn't even find out the difference in genders because they were only male people, right? So you don't have groups इसके अंदर. You just have one type of group उसके ऊपर तुम एक ही condition बार बार लगाया जा रहा है, and you don't have that to compare with anything. So Milgram के experiment के लिए हमेशा IV होगा ही नहीं. IV नहीं होगा, right? DV होगा, IV नहीं होगा. DV is the results that you're finding out about. So you can say that this experiment lacks the independent variable because it is a case study, right? Just kind of we're not comparing a person to another level of IV. That's going to clarify your IV wala problem. You can say, however, this question has the dependent variable, that is the common characteristics that is shown by a person holding disorder, or this, however, this study has a dependent variable, that is to finding out whether this person has GAD or not. DV तो होगा. So please make sure कि discovery question का IV नहीं है. And जब discovery question का IV नहीं है, तो इसका मतलब कि design जब तुम लिख रहे होगे, right? उसके अंदर obviously repeated भी नहीं होगा, match भी नहीं होगा, and independent नहीं होगा. तो फिर कौन सा design होगा? Case study. Case study is also design. Case study होगा. So discovery के अंदर you can bet always every time it's going to be a case study design. See, sometimes setting doesn't matter, specify करते हैं, specify नहीं करते. The key criteria is कि IVDV के बारे में conceptually clear हो जाओ and design, please. उसके बारे में conceptually clear हो जाओ कि discovery का कौन सा design लगता है, क्यों लगता है. उसके अलावा these points जो यहाँ पे लिखे हुए हैं, right? कहाँ गए ये वाले? Largely, they're going to be the same, right? With some few exceptions that I'm going to edit them. कि IV नहीं होगा, right? Sampling technique. Even though कि यहाँ पे एक बंदा है, तुम्हें बताना पड़ेगा तुम उसके पास खुद गई हो या वो तुम्हारे पास खुद आया. तो इसमें कुछ ना कुछ डिटेल बताऊंगा. सेटिंग कहाँ पे तुम करो, डिजाइन एज अ सेट कि केस स्टडी होगा. Methodology, again, observation, interview, questionnaires, that doesn't matter if it's a discovery. Yeah, comparison, controls. Yeah, you don't have conditions, right? So you don't have conditions. So what are you going to control? You might control as in, for example, if you are trying to interview their families, right? So you're going to make sure that the questions were same for every single family member. उसके अलावा if you just क्या कहते हैं, if you just using a interview session once, किसी और से interview नहीं रहता, फिर कौन से control होंगे? You're going to make sure that the environment the person is, the situational variables, their control, as in you want to make sure that the person is interviewed in a neutral room, right? So that external variables don't affect his mood, right? Or don't affect his symptoms, right? Or you can say that the observation is going to be a covert observation, right? Or you can see there's going to be two researchers that are going to observe the participant, or you can say that the researchers are blind to the control, anything like that, right? Last minute, you always go for the standardization of the control. There's also various forms of control: blinding, multiple observers, making them room neutral, less distractions, noise level control. There's so many, so you can use that as well. Ethics. वही होगा, डेटा एनालिसिस वही होगा. डेटा एनालिसिस के अंदर क्वांटिटेटिव डेटा आता तो तुम मीन नहीं निकालोगे क्योंकि एक बंदे का एवरेज नहीं निकलता. सही है. तो लार्जली एंड आल्सो केस स्टडी का मतलब यही है ना कि इन डेप्थ डेटा है, तो यू डोंट गो फॉर क्वांटिटेटिव डेटा. केस स्टडी के ज्यादा क्वालिटेटिव की तरफ जाता तो ऑटोमेटिकली इट रूल्स आउट द डेटा एनालिसिस पार्ट. सो यू हैव लेस पॉइंट्स टू वर्क विद, बट डिस्कवरी क्वेश्चन के अंदर बहुत सारा कंटेंट होता है. सही है. तो that is the difference between discovery and the comparison question. Are there any questions you need to ask or want to kind of clarify कि भाई इस question के अंदर क्या करते हैं? Any interesting question that you've come across? All right, all right. So I'm going to copy paste this question here and we're going to find the answer within the question. You know what? We can use the next slide. All right, so this is a question, right? I'm going to highlight the words that contradict each other. Right? So basically, you're saying is a case study. There's only one person involved, right? There's only one person involved. जैसे क्या थी वो यार वो कौन सा है button phobia वाला one person involved, right? But that's going to be too complex for you. We're not going to Alex Pepperberg wali study, right? Also one person involved, one parrot. Alex by क्या कहते हैं by sample size is a case study, right? But by IVDV, that is a क्या कहते हैं repeated maze design. देखो, the number of participants does not dictate कि discovery होगी या comparison होगा. You can have comparison with one person, you can have क्या कहते हैं discovery with many people, right? So number of participants पहली बात ये कि number of participants does not determine whether it's a discovery question or a comparison question. So we can have 10 people. The thing is what you're doing. So let's suppose if we जहाँ पे comparison कर even if it's a one person before and after का, so you compare the result of the same person in different conditions, right? So let's translate what that comes out to. That comes out as repeated measures. So ये repeated measures. So obviously जहाँ पे repeated measures होगा वहाँ पे IVDP भी होगा. That's going to be a comparison question. जहाँ पे comparison question होगा वहाँ पे